What's up, y'all? Bruxa here. We got Joe and Karyn from Society of the Silver Crosses. They just had a new album come out last year called Festival of Invocations, and they're currently on tour. And they will be at Neurolux in Boise on the 25th. That's this Thursday. Welcome, Joe, Karyn. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course. Well, tell us a bit about the album, Festival of Invocations, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Well, what was the main soul? Like what brought that? Because to me it truly feels like a whole ritual, that seems to be the vibe that y'all go for, not only on the album, but I've watched a couple of your live videos too, and it feels very, very it has this huge air of about it, just the air of ritual, of yoga, almost feeling like, and it just has this vibe of meditation, but in a dark sense, it feels very ethereal at the same time. What kind of brought your guys' attention to that kind of creative, aspirations?
Well, it's interesting. We did write the album during COVID.
Oh, really?
So it's a very, kind of strange little time that we all went through.
Yeah.
And, just lots of time to think and contemplate and to be and to evaluate what's important. So I feel like that had an influence somewhere, just the little time capsule in which it was created. But, for us, the spiritual world, is not a new thing that came during that time. That's something that we're very in love with, the wisdom teachings of the East, and, yoga, meditation. So I think those are always influencing us, in some way when we're being creative too.
That's absolutely, yeah, it does have a very Eastern influence with the auto harp, and the droning sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of our instrumentation is either from India or inspired by that. Some of the musical compositions and things like that. So harmonium, Shahi Baja, and some other kind of esoteric synthesizers and things like that. We've kind of woven it all together in this like witchy kind of package to experience.
Yeah, it very much is an experience, and like I said, there was from the Spud Goodman show a few years back where you guys played the Mighty Factory of Death on that.
No.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I honestly loved it. I believe it. No, it didn't quite have the I'm sure that the mood lighting and stuff that you usually have, but it's still like it still has that ritual feeling, you just cannot escape it. You guys put it on and it's felt.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, that's one of the songs we're playing live on this tour.
I love it.
It's going over really well.
That's awesome. You guys played yesterday in Louisville, right?
We did.
We're in Louisville last night.
At the Art Sanctuary.
Yeah.
How did that go? You still starting to get that feeling back?
Yeah, it went well. I mean, there was a big festival in Louisville, so that was going on. Probably good to come back when that's not going on, but there were still some really awesome people that came out, and we felt very well received there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, everyone was so warm and so nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Holy cow.
And tonight is Kansas City, so we're in the van, in the back of the van right now.
That's awesome.
Bouncing our way to Kansas City.
You don't have a band touring with you at the moment? It's usually local bands, correct?
Yeah,
on the ground.
Yeah, local support. Yeah.
Ever been to Boise yet?
No, we're excited to come. Yeah.
Yeah, because y'all are from Seattle, and I've met a couple of other Seattle bands. Flesh Produce was another band that my most recent interview. Definitely a lot more hyper than y'all are, so I wouldn't be surprised if you've never crossed paths. But
Right.
Seattle and Boise definitely do sometimes have some crossovers. So I figured I would ask.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've been wanting to come to Boise, so
Yeah.
we're really excited.
Yeah, we have a bunch of friends out there, but we haven't actually been there yet.
Oh
So
wow. Well, yeah,
yeah.
we're definitely looking forward to having y'all. I know the scene is absolutely begging for more like very doomy, dark, and yet introspective kind of vibes. You know what I mean? And honestly, the two openers that y'all have this Thursday is Shadow and Claw, and then
Mhm.
it's also Larkspur, which also
That's
is a
cool.
band that has artists from Seattle and Boise. So they're kind
Oh,
of yeah, so
yeah.
they're a mix of two local scenes essentially, and I think
Cool.
they're a perfect medium between your guys' sound and a more heavier like black sound because they very much invoke nature in their act in their music, and it is also very ethereal and atmospheric, and I love that kind of stuff because it feels very much with intention, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We played we sometimes we get paired with like pretty heavier bands. Like we
Mhm.
played this festival for the summer called Cascadia Midsummer,
Oh wow.
and it's all like black metal bands and kind of like
Some kind of dark folk.
yeah,
So it's a
and
really good match for us. We were like, oh, these are our people.
yeah, I know, just
Yeah.
like our tribe.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
finally.
That's awesome. What brought you guys into that kind of scene? Like just from your own background of music.
Well, I mean, it sort of the scene sort of like kind of embraced our sound a little bit because we're so weird and like
Right.
there's not really a yogic metal scene. We're kind of carving out that lane for ourselves.
You
But
absolutely are.
we sort of fall okay in like the pretty darker leaning stuff, heavier things, and then I know some bands that like have traditional sort of like rock
Like
bands and things like
Doom
that,
or
like
like the stoner
yeah,
scene, basically.
yeah,
I
things like
see
that.
you.
But
Yeah.
like they're like, what kind of band is this with the harmonium
Right.
and like like acoustic guitar, and then we play and they go, oh damn, yeah, that's what kind of band it
Not
is.
folksy
Right.
music.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it has a little of that tint, but it's pretty heavy and sludgy at times too.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we use a lot of esoteric synthesizers like Joe mentioned, and I feel like the sounds that I always feel the most interesting are ones that sound kind of like sounds of the universe,
Oh,
So there's
absolutely.
a lot of weird frequencies and
It's that droning,
droning
it
and
really builds an atmosphere.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that lends to some of that vibe.
That's awesome. Have now you two are married, is that correct?
We are,
Sure. Yeah.
That's awesome. And it's funny because have you all ever heard of a band called Bloody Hammers?
Bloody Hammers.
No.
Yeah, they're also a married couple
Oh, cool.
that does more like fuzzed out like heavy rock psychedelic type of stuff, but it's just them two, and I'm sure they have others during their live backing, but it very much was an immediate connection to me because of the kind of doom psychedelic vibes.
Mhm.
And I was like, I wonder if they know each other.
We'll have to check them out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I love a family band.
Yeah, right.
They're great. But we have our live band is a full band.
Yes.
Right.
It's not
Traveling with our drummer and
yeah.
Shaki Baja player.
Yeah, Frankie
Frankie
and
and
Chris.
Chris are here with
Yeah.
us in the van.
Yeah.
That is
Hold
so
down the
cool.
fort while we do this.
They're driving while we are talking to you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's tough enough for a local band to find a drummer. How do you find somebody who
That's
can play
true.
an Eastern instrument like that?
Well, it's a simple instrument. And if you watched videos of, Indian people playing it in a more traditional way, it's a lot faster. And,
Mhm.
We kind of, because our music and our BPM is so slow, we don't play it super fast. And it's sort of like if you know how to play keys and are familiar with guitar, you can pick it up.
Mhm.
It's a simple setup. It's so I feel like if you have a little bit of background, it's easy to jump into that lane.
I never would have thought about it like that.
Yeah, we trick people when we ask them to play with us. So
Right. Like, do you know the keys and guitar? And they're like, sure. And we're like, when they get there, we're like, okay, well, this is actually
surprise.
You're trying out.
Something they've never even seen before, I'm sure.
I know.
Can you play the Shahi Baja? They're going to be like, what are you talking about?
I don't play that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's always like after shows, people are like freaking out because
They want to
Frankie bows it and plays it with a pick, and they're just enamored by it. So every show after the show, it's like show and tell. Like,
what is that thing?
How do you do that?
Yeah, they'll invite people that are curious up on stage to after the show or like the
have a look. Yeah,
show.
See what's behind that curtain.
Yeah.
That is wild. That was, you mentioned bowed though, and I did see that in a couple of live videos. You pull out a bow and that is really fun. I've always wanted to do that myself.
That's not really a traditional thing,
right? Especially,
but it's something we like to do because it sounds nice.
Yeah, it has this, bowing the instrument has this really cool bloom to it.
Yeah.
That's like, and it just like opens and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you can't do that with just a regular volume swell pedal,
Yeah, you can emulate it like that, but like bowing it is so much cooler.
That's the thing.
Like scratchiness to it.
Exactly. There's those things that you just cannot quite emulate, like doing the real thing,
Yeah.
So there was a few songs that really stuck out to me, like By the Millions. That one specifically has very much a protest vibe to it. Is that something that was influencing that particular song at all, or is that just like how it came out to be?
Well, that was one of the first songs that we wrote on the album, and it was early in COVID.
Wow.
And it was during a very uncertain, scary time where everybody kind of was left to their own. We didn't feel like our government was together or even cared about people at times,
It still feels like that now.
I was going to say.
Different then.
I was going to say, glad we're past that, but no.
Yeah, but, and there was just so much unknown still about what was happening. And it just felt like, everyone was left alone to deal. So that's really where that song, the kind of place we were at when we wrote that.
Yeah, that's wild. So
yeah, it's interesting you say protest song because in a way, I guess it may have some elements of that, of just kind of calling out how weird it was and scary in that sense.
Right. No, legitimately.
Yeah.
And then Deepest Sleep too, which it really does have that like lullaby feeling to it in a way,
Yeah.
It's so many of these songs are like you could listen to it and you can meditate to it, but then if you just peel back a layer or two, there's just so much more there. It really feels like that, and that's when I was listening to it, I was working at the same time, like doing graphics and stuff. But every now and then my ear would just pick something out, like a frequency from the auto harp or a chord from the 12 string. And it just would pique my interest and it would just bring me in deeper. And, it just demanded my attention, and I guess that makes sense. The Festival of Invocations, like you're invoking something from the listener. I just think that's beautiful, because like I said, with intention, it just feels very intentional, Are there any other things like that stuck out in the recording process, that was just like an accident or a sound that y'all just come across that you had to put back in?
Yeah, so there's a song on the record. It's actually like kind of it's getting a lot of like attention now for some reason. It's called Garden of Rituals.
Yep.
And so this one started out as like kind of a mistake.
Really?
And it was like a little, like it was like this really crazy sound that came from this folk tech synthesizer instrument, right? And I was like, oh, damn, that is so crazy. Let me just record that really quick because it's one of those things that like you can never get the sound back, right? You have to
1000%.
record it like right
So
then.
squirrely, yeah.
And it's just so like it's only a kind of a once ever kind of sound.
Capture that moment.
It's just one of those synthesizers that doesn't really behave. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what we love about it. But at the time, I was like, oh, listen to that. That's crazy sounding. And it's like we were working on another song, and I was like, well, let me just say that's fucking nuts. So I just saved it at the end of this other song, like way in Pro Tools, right?
Okay.
And it was a totally different song. We had forgotten about it. And then like when we were going to like, I don't know if we were mixing it or just working on another part of the song where it lived in that Pro Tools session. I was like, what is this? Because it was like
just buried back there.
Yeah, it was buried. It was like a month or so later, totally forgotten about it. I was like, oh, wow, listen to this. So I made up that's how that song came about. And we just grabbed a little piece of this sound and then looped it over and made like sonic experience with it.
Yeah.
And
we did a bunch of back guitar feedback, but then everything was backwards.
Yeah.
We made a bunch of noise and then turned all of it backwards.
And then Karyn recited some poetry on top of it. I forget what it was. Like your mom's like
my mom's recipe for
like
chili.
Yeah.
Really?
No. She recited some.
No.
I'm just kidding. But she did recite some poetry over the top of it, and it just sort of turned into that.
That's
so
awesome.
It was one of those songs that like really wasn't. It sort of just kind of it made itself in a weird way.
And let me jump in because the other thing about it is we had been working on a different song that was just one of those difficult, like nothing was working. We were like, and we finally were kind of like, do we really love this? Like maybe we should just let this idea go. Maybe we're just trying too hard to make this work and it just isn't working. And the moment that we let that other song go, we spend like months, like, pre-working on songs and days of recording and vetting ideas and all sorts of things. And this little idea popped out almost immediately. And then within like a few hours, we'd done something. Like I just wrote a poem out. We're like, let's just start doing weird vocals. And like get these weird guitars on there backwards. And
see, exactly.
I don't know. And it was kind of this lesson of like letting go and when you let go, you create space for something new.
Absolutely.
And so it just kind of came out. Yeah. And we usually don't write anything like that quickly.
That's awesome. That's honestly, that checks because that's a very spiritual lesson. When something isn't at the right time, you can't force it. Otherwise, it feels very inauthentic,
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like the harder you hold something, less it's available to you. And when you have your hands open the whole way, there's more that you can fit into it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right? Yeah. No, that 1,000% makes sense, and it, like I said, it's a very spiritual practice that y'all have, pulled out of the ether and have shared with us, So thank you guys very much. Festival of Invocations is an incredible, huge, heavy sounding album, not in the traditional metal sense of heavy, but in the spiritual practice of like, these are our offerings to our audience, take it and actually indulge,
Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
Nice, thank you. I'm glad that
of course
coming through.
Good. I absolutely am receiving the message, I would love for everybody else to get the message as well, and You guys are going to be bringing that whole thing to the Neurolux in Boise this Thursday, right? September 25th.
Yes.
Yeah, that's Thursday. I
Yeah.
cannot wait.
So excited.
So excited.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do my best
I'm
to make
dancing
it.
on the inside.
Yes. I'm right there with you.
Oh,
Oh, cool.
we'd love to
Amazing.
say hi in person.
Yeah, me
Amazing.
too.
Please come say hello.
Yes, I'd love to for sure. And yeah, and Shadow and Claw are opening as well as Larkspur, and they're. I think you guys are going to be very impressed with both those bands.
Nice.
Well,
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joe and
Thank you for
Karyn,
taking the time today with us.
absolutely. Thank you guys. You guys are on the road out there, you
Yeah.
know. And tell the other folks that I said thank you for taking the wheel.
Yeah, we
okay.
will.
Awesome.
We will. Thanks, Bruxa.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay.
Thank you, Karyn. Take care now. Be safe out there.
Okay. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.